Team talks. League leaders Arsenal travel to Bournemouth in the late game on Saturday. The Gunners are fresh from their impressive win over Aston Villa, while Bournemouth, once second, have dropped to 15th and are without a win in 10. Let's hear from the managers ahead of that one.
Well, it's where we are, and we are really happy in the position that we are. It can always be better. There are things to improve, obviously, and the only thing we look is at Bournemouth the next game, and we know how tough it is for every opponent to beat them.
I think he's a top professional, top guy. He wants to help the team. He wants to help the teammates, and I have no doubts that he will do his best. Yes, no doubt with him.
Does he want to go?
You have to ask him. Antoine is behaving really, really well. There is a lot of noise around him, and he has been a top professional, and I'm sure he will be until the last day. Yes.
A top professional, that must be really tough, given that everyone has linked him with the move away. That's Semenyo.
Yeah, because it's going to happen. It's going to happen.
Yeah.
You asked me at the start of the show about the word on the street. Well, the word on the street is that he's going to sign a long-term deal at City, and he's going to be the latest addition to the Pep Guardiola stable of all-stars. And he's earned the move as well because he's been really consistent. He's been the most potent weapon in the Bournemouth side. He's scored against top clubs right from the kickoff. You know, you think about the Liverpool game where he was so impressive in difficult circumstances, as we all know, and he's maintained that consistency all the way through the season.
I'd like you to ask Rachel the question you posed during the break.
What about whether she would be a regular first team player at Aston Villa, as she was, or go to a bigger side, I won't name any specific side, but an A-list side where she would play perhaps one game in three, which is potentially what could be the case for Semenyo.
I'm going to... No, I think our debate was how tolerant are you? How good can you cope with being a sub, which may happen initially, which we expect will happen initially, as it often
does.
does.
The psychology that you were explaining to me was really instructive.
And for some people, that is really difficult. Sort of the emotional turmoil they go through during the week of you training, you look like you're not in the starting 11. That sort of heightens as the week goes on. It then gets confirmed when you find out the team, and it's some players that's just really tough.
Yeah.
And I don't know if Semenyo has that much experience of that. But when you see his character from how he's performed at Bournemouth, and even just seeing how he's performed this season, because the rumours were certainly there in the summer as well, I think in some ways it maybe does make it easier for him to know that if the move happens in January, he knows he's contributed a lot to the first half of the season.
Absolutely.
And also he's made it very clear that he's thoroughly loved his time there. He loves doing well for the club, helping the club achieve that they have achieved. Last season was a huge part of where they finished. So he deserves his move, and it's just nice to hear that also the manager at the moment is saying, Areola is saying, he's a great professional, and I think nowadays we don't hear loads of that outwardly. So it's good to know that that's his character, and that's going to serve him well if he does go to Man City. Doesn't get in right away, or he has to fight for minutes, he has to compete. You have to suck that up and take your chance when you get it.
Yeah, Antoine Semenyo has been so critical for them. It would be such a pity for them to lose him, especially given they started the season so well. And now they win this in 10, down to 15th. What's happened?
Well, ironically, Semenyo's not their problem. It's at the back that they've got a problem, and they started so defensively well, but they've lost their way. Now, in a way, you can understand it because they lost their back four in the summer to bigger clubs, including Heisen, who went to Real Madrid, and they're in a situation. They kind of responded to it really well. I almost feel like a little bit of an imposter talking about defensive issues when I got a fantastic defender alongside me. So I'll hand over to you for this little bit.
Yeah, well, they did lose a key number of those players, goalkeeper as well, of course, and that just unsettles you a little bit. It takes a little bit of time. There is some concern to those results, to not win a game. Then it becomes your instinct. So just subtle things, you'll start to carry a deeper line, which encourages the team on, gives a bigger space in midfield to cover, ends up meaning the other team spends a bit more time getting opportunities, or you're more spread out, more gaps to play through. So that's very subtle, but it can build. Then you end up with your own instincts. There's times when you're feeling confident, you know you'll just comfortably side foot the ball out of play. All of a sudden, when you're low in confidence, you get tense. And same with strikers. You know, talk about strikers being tense. They don't finish chances we expect them to. Same with defenders. You know, a ball that you just think, just take your side foot and clear that height and distance. All of a sudden, you miss-hit it. Or in that, you know, I think Trevor there, he loses his footing. Those are the things that, yes, you think it's a freak accident, but some of that's to do with getting your feet right quick enough, getting in position quick enough, and going back to some of the simple instincts. And it can be infectious and it affects people around you. So it's tough when you're in that rut.
I want to stick with the theme of defenders as we move on to their opposition this weekend, and that's Arsenal. The statement win over Aston Villa. I don't really want to ask Rachel this question first because she's already given me the side eye. The statement win over Aston Villa in a run where they've been, you know, lucky with own goals. They've had penalties. This was something else.
Well, I mean, I'll tell you what I thought when I watched this game. Look at the way that there is no tackle on any Arsenal player as they come in to score these goals. The space that they're given as well. To my mind, including the first goal where the goalkeeper just completely falls to pieces. This is an Aston Villa side for me that suffered stage fright on the night. Big match, crucial game. Had they won, they could have drawn level on points with Arsenal, and they froze. It was as if they were more used to seeing off sides where the pressure was all on the opposition than this one, because I think for them this was a real opportunity. That performance, particularly defensively, was inexplicable from what I've seen so far this season, particularly from an Unai Emery side as well that is normally so well organised. I expect them to bounce back this weekend because they play Forest. They've won their last 10 games at home. They'll be good against Forest again, but I just think they almost flew too close to the defensive sun this weekend, in midweek against Arsenal, and they'll just be glad it's behind them.
I want to talk about Arsenal because they are playing Bournemouth, and stick with the defenders question now that Rachel is okay with it and okay with me talking about that game. Gabriel Magalhaes, that game showed me just how important he is to this team.
Yeah, but also I think they have so much competition everywhere, and that ups your level in training every day. You know, we talk about making incremental gains. They are absolutely better with Gabriel.
Yeah.
He is, for me this season, the best centre back in the Premier League, maybe in Europe. His contribution at both ends is absolutely remarkable. And I think his relationship with Saliba as well has flourished. But
What does he do? Well, what is it that Gabriel? Why is he so good?
Well, I think the relationship for me is the key part. And I think, and I've always felt it as playing centre back. When you have someone alongside you that knows you so well, they know your traits, they know the times when you'll think, I think I can steal this here, and you might take a risk. The seamlessness in which you can anticipate and cover for one another, you can't quantify that. You can't quantify that with when you play with someone you've never played with, or you play with someone that doesn't know how you communicate. They don't know the tone of your voice. You know, when you say, deal with that, they know when you need to deal with that because you're under pressure. They know when you've got time because you learn to communicate. And so for me, it's the pairing. The pairing makes them exceptional. Then they have the momentum of players around them. Then on top of that, they have the competitiveness every single day, where every single one of the players in that team, pretty much, I think Gabriel knows he's going to play every game if he's fit. You got to be on it. You got to be on it. You got to get better. We got to get better every day. And I think Man City are similar and have been similar for a long time. That ability to do that, there are not many other teams that have that. Most other teams in the Premier League, you know, their best 11, and there's a drop off in most positions. Some team might have 2 or 3 positions that like for like, but for Arsenal, I think they've such an advantage, and that centre-back pairing for me is it's a language. And the goalkeeper behind them now too adds to that.
And they haven't had that centre-back pairing in a long time, which brings me to my next question, and probably the final one on this game. Arsenal's injuries. I know everyone talks about their squad and their squad depth, but their injuries, do you think there's a bigger problem this season? Because again, the Aston Villa game without Declan Rice, who was injured, they haven't had their first choice centre-back for many, many weeks now. You know, the defence has chopped and changed. Nearly everyone's played at left back or right back in this team.
Or
I mean, does it point to a bigger issue for you?
No, I'm the opposite actually. I think it points to a triumph of their recruitment because there hasn't been a drop-off, as you say, in quality when other players have come in to deputise. And the fact that they were able to win so convincingly without Rice, that will also have been a psychological boost for them too. With the players coming back, Gabriel came back, we saw he took his t-shirt off, I belong to Jesus, and he was very bullish about his religion, his faith, because it has been a long dark tunnel for him, but he's been able to come back and make that statement, and there'll be other players that are coming back as well. What will be interesting this next 6 months, 5 months, is Arsenal have got players back, City have Rodri back. That's what makes this such a fascinating final few furlongs, because obviously Rodri for them is influential, but the two centre-halves are pivotal, the goalkeeper as well, world-class saves in the last couple of matches. It's going to be a fascinating 5 months.
And we will be here all the way to the end to see it through. Now, we're moving on to a fierce Lancashire-Yorkshire rivalry, and Leeds United against Manchester United. It's a fixture where pride is always on the line, as both sets of fans demand victory in what promises to be a...
It'll be in their heads, definitely. But the motivation of proving people wrong is massive. You know, I had that all through my career, more or less, when I got released at 19. And that motivation to prove people wrong and shut people up, honestly, it can be a big driving force.
Yeah.
Really
Do you think there'll be certain players in that dressing room that are like, this isn't happening again?
I wouldn't. I think that happens when in certain scenarios. So, in a few weeks, if they drop points, which I think they're going to drop points this season, for the remainder of the season, that's a given. And then Man City, because you don't want, the one team you don't want chasing you is going to be Manchester City. You know, and they're going to be there or thereabouts, of course. And I think it's going to go right to the wire. But there's going to be moments where they're also going to go and build on the experiences from previous seasons where they've just come so close, and they'll draw on them experiences. You know, they'll have players that have seen that dressing room, someone like Declan Rice, the two centre-halves, for instance, the goalkeeper, good vocal voices that will sometimes just go, listen, calm, we've been here before, it's not a problem, let's just worry about ourselves, worry about what we do on the pitch, just keep doing what we've done all season and it will come.
It's like when they played Sunderland. You know, when they played Sunderland and went one down, you know, that in the past would have turned into a defeat.